It was in 1873 that horse racing ceased to take place on these moors at Midham. Since then, the area has become a thriving training establishment. There have been 3 Grand National winners, numerous Group 1 successes. Oh yes, plenty of big names have been handled here.
On the near side, here comes King of Tunes, who's lunging really late. Will he get there? And there's a roar and King of Tunes right wing.
Frankie keeping Mr. Bailey's in front. He's a half length clear now, trying hard as 140 or late, but Mr. Bailey's is just going to get there to win the Royal Lodge.
Bijou Dan's fighting back on the far side. Bijou Dan trying very hard. Ashkelani and Bijou Dan. Bijou Dan got back up to win.
Kalahari King slips through the inside, and Kalahari King, the class is going to tell here. He's powered his way through the field and he's run away. Kalahari King, what a class act.
This is a hugely impressive performance by Paris Return, the Triumph Hurdle winner a couple of seasons back. What's he going to go on to this year? Paris Return, he has slaughtered them.
The first documented reference to racehorses in Midham came via Isaac Cape as a jockey in 1733. Racing was established on the High Moor as early as 1739 and meetings were held regularly during the 18th century. Sheila's Cottage, Teal and Merriman were Midham's Grand National winners trained by Captain Neville Crump, and his yard now forms part of the area's most famous handler, Mark Johnston. But it's not all about Johnston's Kingsley House setup. Also based in the area are Chris Fairhurst, George Moore, Simon West, Jed O'Keefe, Kate Wharton and John Weems, Ferdy Murphy, Mickey Hammond, Ben Haslam, Andy Crook, Karl Burke, James Bethell and Sally Hall. And most recently Jason Ward and Sean Regan have joined the ranks. Johnston is the biggest name, so what made him choose Midham as his base?
We literally got the map out and put the racecourses on, and we realised that to be near the racecourses you had to either be in Yorkshire or you had to be around London. I looked at Newmarket, I looked at Epsom. At the time, for the budget I had, I could do significantly more by coming to Yorkshire. And I also, when looking at the likes of Epsom, I just couldn't face the idea of sitting waiting to get round the M25 every day. As far as horses are concerned, clearly it's evolved as a training centre over hundreds of years. The climate is right. The travelling has never bothered me, as you see that I'm often leading trainer at Glorious Goodwood. I've been leading trainer at Ascot many times. So I've always said the good horses can afford to travel, and the travelling isn't a problem to them. But for your first time out horses, your maidens and your lower quality horses, you want racetracks around you and racetracks of all levels, and we've got tracks obviously from the level of Catterick through to York, so we're very, very well positioned for a lot of racetracks.
You of course started off by using the high and the low moors, but now you've built your own facilities.
Yeah, now we've got Park Farm, 270 acres there. I didn't even when I put in the gallops, I didn't use them at first, but it's hard when you've invested so much money in gallops not to use them, and so we do use them now. In some ways that's left, when we finished, the gallops on the moors were in tip-top condition. Now there's a lot less people using them, so they're quite lucky. They've been left with very, very good facilities amongst a relatively small number of horses.
So if you were looking in from the outside, should the public see Midham as a thriving racing area?
I think all racing areas are under a bit of pressure at the moment. The whole industry is, as you know, under a bit of pressure, so we've got to work hard at it. We've got to keep our name up there, but yes, it's the ideal place to be.
Midham's historic Spigot Lodge stables have been churning out the winners since the early 1800s, a trend that has continued since the arrival of the Burke family 11 years ago. Elaine holds the licence, and husband Karl explained what prompted their move north.
Well, we were training in Newmarket at the time, and Spigot Lodge came on the market, and it's a superb property. But obviously the gallops at that time were turning out a lot of winners through Mark Johnston, George Moore, so gallops were obviously plenty good enough.
And things have gone pretty well for you. I mean, you're getting on for 1,000 winners now.
In total, yeah. It's we've had good times here. Obviously, the blip there a couple of years ago didn't help, but we're building back up now, and we've got a nice team of horses.
You yourself, a Group 1 winning trainer?
Yeah, Lord Channical was a great horse for us. And obviously Group 1, Group 2's listed. He won for us. Lesson in Humility was a very good performer as well. She won a Group 3 and was Group 1 placed twice as well. So yeah, we've been very lucky here.
So presumably now the dream is to get Elaine to churn out another Group 1 winner for you.
Yeah, that'd be great if we can get up to that standard of horse. That's obviously the target, and we've got a few nice young horses, but you need to keep buying them year on year out to get those Group 1 horses to have a chance of it.
James Bethell is another trainer to have made the move to Midham, and it was the vast range of facilities that lured him from his former home in Chiltern.
Traditionally, the High Moor was only a grass gallop, which was open only from May till October in the summer because it's so much higher than the Low Moor that the weather used to be bad and you couldn't get there, and the ground would always be so much softer during the winter. So the Low Moor gets the majority of the use, where we've got a 7 furlong polytrack gallop and a 3 furlong eco track gallop.
Why would you choose Midham, say, over an establishment like Newmarket or Lambourne?
Well, I think we just got fantastic facilities, and I was at a place called Chiltern, which had my own gallops, and it was very difficult to maintain all your own gallops. And as a cooperative here, where all the trainers chip in and the owners pay, we've been able to get better facilities than you'd be able to do on your own, basically. And prior to when Mark was here, we obviously had quite a lot of money flowing into the coffers, so we were able to put in this polytrack gallop, which has made all the difference to Midham.
And I guess your best known horse from here would be Mine, who just was a terrific servant for you.
Yeah, mine. He won 3 Bunbury Cups, Hunt Cup, a Victoria Cup, and I mean, I don't think you get much better than that, really. And I did have a wonderful mare called Hunters of Brora as well, who won the Lincoln for me, and Rich Ground, who won a July Stakes, Strawberry Dale, who won the Middleton at York, and the listed race at Doncaster.
And you train one of the people's horses in many ways, Granston, who he's been around for ages, but if you look at the handicap ratings, he's as good, if not better, than ever.
I know, he's incredible, really. Normally only wins 1 race a year somehow, but he managed to get placed, so never really goes down in the handicap. But he's been better than ever this year. He's been fantastic.
Set against the backdrop of Middleham Castle is the home of the town's youngest trainer, Ben Haslam, who appears to be coping with the pressure of taking over the reins from Father Pat last year.
Yeah, it's especially nerve-wracking when your father's trained a Group 1 winner. He's trained a winner on every racetrack in the country, so yeah, it's nerve-wracking, but he doesn't put a lot of pressure on me. He's gives me plenty of advice. You know, it's more nerve-wracking probably the rest of the trainers around the country. You know, there's such a high standard set that it's very, very competitive, and it's important to keep competing as high as they are.
You've been training nearly a year now, or just about a year, training nearly 30 winners. You must be delighted with the way things have started.
Yeah, it's gone well. We've had plenty of seconds as well. All trainers say that, but if we haven't been winning, we've been knocking on the door with a lot of the horses, and it's could have gone a little bit better, but it certainly could have gone a lot worse, and we're very happy.
And just looking for the future, I mean, in 10 years' time, how many horses would you have ideally in your yard?
We've got room for 40 in the current yard, which is manageable, and it works economically for us. And if you've got 40 good horses, that's plenty for anyone.
As a training establishment, is there anywhere else you'd like to train, or is this providing you with everything you need?
There are no really. The facilities here are as good as anywhere. As long as Midham is as stable and as successful as it is, I'm very happy where I am. Obviously things can change. Not owning your own yard, obviously things can change with you're a little bit hostage to fate, how things go. But like I say, as long as everything keeps working, then I'm very happy where I am.
So Midham is back, and it's thriving. With more than a dozen training establishments, its own grass and polytrack gallops, and a healthy blend of established and up-and-coming trainers, there is much to enthuse over the future of this historic racing town.